Welcome to the Success Blueprint, strategies to build a life and business you love. This is your go-to podcast for success in both life and business. I'm your host, Daniel Craig Johnson, and as a seasoned life and business coach with 15 years of experience, I will be sharing powerful stories, practical tips, and valuable insights on personal development, leadership, entrepreneurship, productivity, motivation, and more. Join me every week for the Success Blueprint, strategies for building a life and business you love. Let's ignite your success. Welcome back, audience. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Success Blueprint. I'm your host, Daniel Craig Johnson. I haven't recorded for the last week because I was in Cape Town for some shows with my LED side wheel. And that was very exciting, performing there and challenging myself again, pushing myself to the next limit. Also a journey of success with my wheel, starting at such a high age and still becoming a performer and being booked regularly. So that's very exciting. So that's the reason why I haven't recorded anything last week, but that doesn't mean that we don't carry on. We just get delayed. We have things that happen in life. That's normal. And then we get back on the horse and we carry on. And today I really want to share an episode with you about the word success itself. So we're talking about the success blueprint. So what is success? And today I really want to dive into the multifaceted world of success, exploring its various definitions, drawing parallels from social media, news, ethnicity, different cultures, and more. So I hope you're ready, and I really am excited to talk with you about this. And if we look about it, success is a word that carries immense weight and meaning. But what does it truly encompass? I think before we explore different definitions, let us establish a foundation and understand that success is not a one-size-fits-all concept. It's a deeply personal thing. It's a subjective journey, varying from person to person. And for some, success may mean financial prosperity, while for others, it might be about achieving personal fulfillment or making a positive impact on society. And these factors that define success can be differently weighted for every person. Some people find success in no possessions, minimalistic living style, small little apartment, lock and go solution. Some maybe even live in a camper or in a trailer. And other people would look at that and say, but what is that? How do you live like that? You don't have a car, you don't have a house, you don't have pets. How are you happy? How are you successful? But that's exactly what I mean. It's such a big and huge concept, and there is so much to it. It's really not that easy and straightforward. And then we look at different ethnicities and different cultures, and we can see how much success really varies. So it is really something that we have to look at from different aspects with a different viewpoint. If you look at Bill Gates, for example, the co-founder of Microsoft, his success is often associated with his incredible wealth and philanthropic efforts through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. However, success can also be seen in the story of everyday individuals who find joy and fulfillment in pursuing their passion, such as an artist who creates beautiful artwork that touches people's hearts, or a teacher who inspires and educates generations. That's the different variations of success. And we can see where there is so many points where these perceptions of success, they differ so widely and they vary so widely depending on the individual and the upbringing and the society and socio-economic impacts on who we are and what we actually define as success. We will obviously see very often that success in many ways is defined by wealth and by prosperity. And there is truth to it, but there's also a downside to it. And maybe for some people, it's the complete opposite than creating wealth or creating assets. So if we look at a survey conducted by the National Opinion Research Center, it provides a fascinating insight into how Americans define success and what they prioritize in their lives. So let us take a closer look at each of the top 3 indicators and explore how they contribute to a holistic understanding of success. Good health, ranking as the top indicator of success for 75% of the respondents in America that have been asked. It emphasizes the significance of physical and mental well-being, and it reflects the understanding that without good health, it can be challenging to enjoy other aspects of life fully. This statistic underscores the recognition that success encompasses more than material wealth or professional accomplishments. It encompasses taking care of oneself and prioritizing one's physical and emotional well-being. So there's a very, very big point in understanding that good health would, if we look at it from a logical aspect, be most probably one of the top ranking ones for everybody. Because if we are not in good health, how can we be successful in other ways? If we have to run to, let's say, dialysis 5 times a week and lay there for 5 hours a day, how will that impact how successful we can be or how much wealth we can still create? How successful we can be in the job that we have? How successful can we be in the contribution that we have then to give to others if our lives are so impacted? And then we have to blend that with their own needs, with our desire for free time, with our desire for things to do. So this would be a huge impact. So what we can see here clearly is that no matter how we define success, no matter what anyone thinks success is, good health is a really, really key factor in being able to be successful. Because if you are chronically ill, you are sick, or you drinking too much and that impacts your health, and you are not able to even enjoy life in a healthy way, then I would really argue that it will be very hard to enjoy any other forms of success. You might be super wealthy, but what is that if you're not healthy? You might be able to afford everything, but what if that healthcare cannot buy you back the health that you might have ruined with a sloppy lifestyle, with bad eating habits, taking drugs, and other things that have a deep or bad impact on your life? So it is so important to foster good health and be successful by promoting good health, eating healthy, living healthy, limiting your alcohol consumption, staying away from recreational drugs. And I think a lot of these things will then ultimately result in automatic success in many other areas of life that are so important. Ranking second with 50%, mentioning this as an indicator for success, is a good marriage or partnership. This highlights the importance of a strong and fulfilling relationship in people's lives. A successful marriage or partnership contributes to emotional support, companionship, and a sense of belonging. It emphasizes the value of nurturing connections with a life partner and building a solid foundation of love, trust, and mutual understanding. This statistic reminds us that success extends beyond individual achievements and encompasses the quality of our interpersonal relationships. So emotional intelligence comes in here. Very important. We need relationships. We need partners. We need people that we can trust in. We need to have relationships that if you come home from work, you have a safe place where you can go, a zone where you can relax, where you know nothing is hostile, where you know that there's balance and there is happiness and there's togetherness and good communication, because that might be things that you're lacking at work. If you may be in the wrong environment, you're working for the wrong company, you got a very high power job, very demanding, then when you come home to a good partnership or even come to a talk with a good friend, or with a good trusted critique that can add value to your life, it will change the way that you deal with stress and how the stress impacts you. It might help you to alleviate anxiety and all those kind of things. So it is really, really important that we have good relationships and that we have good support from our family and that we have real sources of joy, of personal fulfillment, and that we recognize the importance of family and what happens when we have a good family bond and how that contributes to success in a really, really positive manner. That's why this is rated as the third more important aspect of success by Americans in that study. While these top 3 indicators of success provide valuable insights, it is important to note that different individuals may have their own unique priorities and interpretations of success. However, the survey does find and suggest that for many Americans, for example, success is not solely measured by external achievements, but it's deeply rooted in overall well-being, fulfilling relationships and the bonds we share with our loved ones. So we can see here's a strong family bond, which we will also find very often in European countries like Italy, Greece, also cultures that are they are very focused on healthy relationships, on the family. They support each other. They have great support networks. We find very often that a huge family is living together in one property and they support each other and help each other. Whereas in cultures where people are more individualists and the kids move out very young and get their own apartments and everyone is very driven when it comes to work, we will find that there's a lot of success and there will be a lot of wealth and there's a lot of wealth creation and asset creation. But if we look at it more closely, it will also be the culture where we find the most issues with depression, with anxiety, with poor mental health and mental breakdowns. We have so many places in the world with a fast-paced environment and the fact that people are thrown into the deep end very early when they come out of school, that the family bond literally gets dismantled by society because you have to perform, you have to work, then you maybe have to work 2-3 jobs, and apart from not having time maybe to have a partner, you don't foster good family bonds. And if we look at pressure cookers like that are spread all over the world, then we see very quickly that is cultures and places where we find high levels of mental health issues, depression, anxiety. And what we find there is that this is very often the result of poor relationships, not enough time for friends, not enough time for family, maybe no time for a partner at all. And that has such a significant impact on our overall well-being. And then eventually also in what kind of success we have and how can we reap the rewards of the success that we might be creating with a great job and with a great salary. Is it really worth it? Is that what we then really want? Moreover, it's worth exploring how these statistics compare to other indicators of success. For instance, financial stability and career accomplishments are often seen as a traditional marker of success. However, the survey's findings indicate that while these factors may still hold importance, they are not the sole determinants of a successful life. They aren't. This aligns with a growing understanding that true success involves finding a balance across multiple dimensions in life, including health, relationships, personal fulfillment, and making a positive impact in the world. So if we find purpose and belonging, that is something that adds tremendous value. If we have employers that foster this culture, that foster that we want to find purpose and belonging, if they can incorporate that into business models, incorporate things like gamification, fostering good communication and intra and interpersonal skills, working on emotional intelligence and understanding that, yes, there need to be results. And obviously in an organization, the organization's overarching goals are really important and they need to be met. But at the bottom is still people. There is people that need to have balance, that need to have purpose, that need to find their passion. They need to be put into positions that suit them and that really drive their core values and what they want to achieve. If I can create an organization like that, there will be much more success because people will feel purpose, belonging, and therefore will take more accountability, take more responsibility for what they do. So this is really a part that can't be overseen, because if we don't have these environments that we fit into and where we are nurtured from the bottom of our needs, then that very often results in poor relationships, into poor social behavior, a lack of emotional intelligence, and eventually that will impact the success that we can have as an employee, as owner of a business, as the head of a family, and so on. It is also interesting to consider how these statistics may differ across various demographic groups. For example, different age groups, cultural backgrounds, socioeconomic statuses might place varying emphasis on different indicators of success. And by exploring these nuances, we can shed further light on the diverse perspectives and the values that shape our understanding of success. These statistics highlight the need for a holistic approach to defining and pursuing success. And it should encourage us to consider multiple dimensions of our lives, such as our physical and mental well-being, our relationships, and our role within our families. By recognizing and valuing these aspects, we can cultivate a more balanced and fulfilling journey towards success. To further illustrate the significance of the top indicators of success, let us dive into some examples that highlight the impact of good health, a good marriage or partnership, and a good relationship with children. Imagine a successful entrepreneur who has amassed great wealth and professional recognition. However, due to neglecting their health, they suffer from chronic stress, poor sleep, a sedentary lifestyle. And despite their financial achievements, their overall sense of success is diminished. And why? Because their well-being is compromised. In contrast, another individual who may not have amassed vast wealth but prioritizes their health by maintaining an active lifestyle, eating good food, and seeking emotional well-being, experience a greater sense of fulfillment and considers themselves successful. And this shows us that without good health, other accomplishments may lose their luster. Or consider a couple. They've built a strong and loving partnership based on mutual respect, open communication, shared goals. They support each other's ambitions and work together to navigate life's challenges. Despite facing financial hardships or professional setbacks, their enduring bond and commitment to each other create a sense of security and happiness. Their marriage becomes a cornerstone of their success, as they find solace and joy in their relationship, enhancing their overall quality of life. So this strong bond might be the driving force in their lives, and that gets them through financial hardships, other things that are happening in life and that impact maybe sometimes your mood or your overall well-being. But because they have this strong bond with each other, they feel like they can tackle life at any point in time. And that might be a complete different way of success and might be as fulfilling for them as being wealthy or having amassed assets, big houses, cars, whatever someone would define as indicators of success. And they might be purely happy based on their mutual relationship and what it adds in value to their lives. Or let us imagine a parent who dedicates time and effort to nurture a strong bond with their children. They prioritize quality interactions, engage in activities together, and provide emotional support and guidance. This parent places importance on fostering their children's growth, instilling values, celebrating their achievements. As a result, the children develop a sense of security, self-confidence, and love. The parent considers their relationship with their children to be a fundamental measure of their success, knowing that they have positively impacted their children's life and helped shape them into responsible and compassionate individuals. This might be their complete goal and a goal that fulfills them and gives them meaning and purpose and a sense of belonging. And that might be all that they really value. And maybe the work and making a good salary, saving money, building financial wealth or assets might be completely ranked somewhere at the bottom of their priorities, and maybe even just be something that they see as something that they need to do in order to even achieve more for their children, give them a better foundation and a better base. So there we can see it again. There's so much variety to what we can see as success. These examples also highlight how the top indicators of success go beyond external achievements and delve into the realms of personal well-being, fulfilling relationships, and nurturing connections with loved ones. Again, this is something that is crucial. They also demonstrate that success is not solely defined by social norms or societal norms or material wealth, but rather by the meaningful experiences and positive impact we have on ourselves and those around us. Now let us look at the influence of social media on our perceptions of success. In the age of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we're constantly bombarded with carefully curated highlight reels of people's lives. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion that success is solely measured by material possessions or luxurious vacations, picture-perfect moments. But we shouldn't forget that social media is merely a highlight reel and does not capture the full story. But yet when we go onto social media, we can see so many times how a perfect life should look like, what a perfect life should look like and feel like, because it is in our face every single day. You wake up, you already got all those influencer reels in front of you. Even normal people make an effort to only portray amazing things on their Facebook pages or social media channels? How many times do you hear someone waking up and saying, you know what, I feel shit. I don't know what to do. I'm at a point, I'm at wit's end. I don't know how to live this life anymore. How many times do you see a post like that? And then when we have brave people like that, then it's perceived as a sob story, or maybe people laugh about them or think, oh my goodness, what the hell is wrong with you? How many times are they judged? When does it really help to be honest and to put something on there that people wouldn't expect? Because that would be so much more authentic. But we always see that people make an effort of making their life look perfect on social media channels, which is never the case, because everyone is facing the same challenges. There's no human out there that is always happy, that is always fulfilled, that is always in balance. No, it's the polar opposite. When we go on holiday, and yes, even if we go on a holiday 20 times a year, there is still problems in life. There is still things that happen. There's people that die. There's partners that leave us, divorce us. There's conflicts. There's fights at work. There's pressure at work. There will always be something that has an impact on who we are as people and how we interact with our world around us. So it is important that we understand that we shouldn't pressurize ourselves, that we shouldn't fall into that trap of anxiety and feeling inferior because we see other people being so successful. I recently, again, at an event, bumped into a friend that looked so amazing on social media. The life looked like perfect. It was like, oh my goodness, how can anyone even not be happy in this environment? This must be the best life ever. And in the meantime, behind the curtains, the life was falling apart. There was a breakup, there was trouble, there was abuse, there was so many things happening in that life. And you could see when you went on Facebook, there was no indication that anything was actually wrong. And that is what is so dangerous and what adds so much negative impact into people's lives and the upbringing of our children, the upbringing of young teenagers and even ourselves, because we constantly live under that pressure of success means you have to be on luxury vacations, you have to drive a big car, you have to have a big house. But what if that is not even what you call success? Very often people are caught up in this system, whereas their true meaning of success, either they haven't discovered it, they haven't defined it, or they don't even know because they're constantly pulled and tugged left and right by all the things that socioeconomic norms expect from us in order to be successful, and therefore lose complete focus on what really matters. That's why it is so important that we investigate, what does success mean for us? Switch off social media, switch off what the parents want, switch off what the friends want, switch off what the environment that you live in wants from you, and identify, what does success mean for you? And when you define what success means for you, why does what you have written down mean success for you? Is that really what you think is success? Or is that maybe purely influenced by your surroundings, your friends, the peers, the people that you hang around with, or even your parents? Or is that really what you define as success? It is important that we investigate that carefully, that we can get to the bottom of what actually impacts us. Where are all these little bullshit stories that are being told to us? Where's all that stuff from social media and from the world around us impacting us, losing touch to who we really are and what really would be success for us? Because maybe it is that having purpose and finding belonging, maybe that is so much more important for us than to have a huge salary. Maybe being a social worker is everything that we ever dreamt of, and that would be our definition of success. And maybe that sometimes means that we live in rural areas with poor people because we do our social work there. And that could still be the most wonderful life possibly that we could experience. And we would only be able to experience that if we disassociate ourselves from what everyone else wants for us, what the world tells us success means, because otherwise we wouldn't find that true belonging. We wouldn't find that true purpose, because we're going to look past it, because there's no 5-star hotel, there's no pool, there's no luxurious lifestyle, there's not party time all the time. There's all these things these outside influences would be missing. So how can that be successful? But at the end of the day, that might be one person's perfect match of success and belonging. Take, for instance, the story of Emily Weiss. the founder of Glossier, a popular beauty brand. Through her social media presence and strategic branding, she's created the image of a successful entrepreneur. However, behind the scenes, she had so many challenges, setbacks, failures before achieving her current level of success. And that should remind us of how hard, or how the hard work, the result of hard work, perseverance and resilience, those aspects, they are not fully portrayed in social media. There's always something that needs to be done, something that needs to be sacrificed. When we see people successful on social media, there is somewhere where they have to sacrifice. There's something has to give. There's some area where they need to do things that they may not enjoy, and those might be hard things, and we don't see that. So we have to understand that there is never the full story at hand. A study conducted by the Royal Society for Public Health in the UK found that Instagram negatively affects users' mental health and self-esteem. And there's many other studies that prove that. The pressure to present a perfect image of success can lead to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. It's important to remember that true success is not about keeping up with online appearances, but rather finding meaning and contentment in our own lives. It's not about competing with those people on social media. It's not about building that same life. It's not about having all these followers and doing the same things as those people that we're looking at, because that might be the recipe for disaster in our own lives. To further understand success, we have to turn our attention to the news. Media often portrays success in terms of fame, power, and recognition. While these achievements can be markers of success, they do not paint a complete picture. Success can be found in everyday acts of kindness, resilience in the face of adversity, or the pursuit of one's passion, even if they are not in the limelight. It is important to remember that true success is not limited to headlines, because that is what's happening. Headlines tell us every day, oh, this person received a Pulitzer Prize, this person has been getting a Golden Globe and this award and whatever. Look at the example of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock on stage. Before that, we looked at Will Smith as he was an icon. We looked at him, and who would have thought? We know that with his wife there was issues because of her illness and everything, but people would have looked at him as a professional, as someone that is composed, someone that is concise in their decisions and everything, because based on what he has produced in terms of his artistic portfolio, everyone would have considered him successful. But if we then look this one moment of losing control, this one moment of not knowing how to cope with the situation and to first think before taking action, has caused so much problems in his life. And the implications of that slap, they were vast. If we look at that, who would have ever thought? So what does that show us? We clearly do not see the picture behind the curtains. What has led up to that slap? Well, if you're interested in Chris Rock and Will Smith, they obviously have a troubled relationship that has been going on over years. And then with his wife and the illness, and Chris Rock consistently making jokes about that, that has built up. There has resentment building up. But if we look at it, it's a star. But just because he's a star doesn't mean that he has the right coping mechanisms. It doesn't mean that Chris Rock maybe always has a good understanding what good jokes are, or when is the point to stop. When are you actually being someone that harasses now or that abuses? And if Will Smith would have had all the tools and all the knowledge, would he have then walked up on stage and slapped him in front of an entire audience, in front of the whole world watching? Most probably not. But we can see that there was something lacking. In that situation, there was something that he was lacking to handle that situation correctly. And that had major impact on his future and on the perception that people have about him now in the aftermath. So that can show us so powerfully how just because someone is famous or because they are painted in this perfect light, there can be so much happening behind the curtains. And I can guarantee you no one expected what happened that night. When he walked up there and slapped Chris Rock so hard in the face, everyone thought that was part of the show. And by the time that sets in, that this was actually real, people don't know how to cope. No one there knew what to do. No one had the resilience, the knowledge, the wisdom, or whatever to know how to handle this situation. Now there was this star. Do you drag him out of the room and just take him out of the venue and say, okay, this was it for you in front of all the cameras, and then it maybe was a joke. There is so many variables at play here. It shows you how hard just one situation can be in our life and how quickly that can determine whether we are still successful or not. Because you might lose all your acting engagements after that slap, and it can have financial impact. There's so many things that can happen. So there we can see how delicate that word success is and how delicate it can be, and how quickly success can turn into complete disaster or can be the complete opposite. We might lose our wealth, we might lose all our assets, we might lose our reputation irreparably, and that just because of one wrong decision. So there is so much to the word success and the things that impact it, and so much things that can happen along the way. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani activist for female education and the youngest Nobel Prize laureate. Her journey and impact inspire countless people worldwide, showing that success can be measured in the positive change we bring to the lives of others. Success is not just about personal gain, it's about making a difference and leaving a lasting legacy. So if we look at that story comes from struggle. Female activist and educator in Pakistan. We just have to look at the lifestyle, at the struggles that females face in such cultures, and we will know that whatever her success is comes with so many different things than what we need for success. Her success is defined by struggle, defined by intimidation, defined by a dangerous lifestyle, defined by repercussions that can even be life-threatening, that can lose her life. And yet, what she does and the result of it is defined as success, whereas another person would say, no, why would I ever go through that? Why would I ever raise my voice in such a regime? Why would I make myself a target of so many people that are thinking the polar opposite and maybe want to harm me and my family? But for her, her success is defined through the activism and the actions that she takes to change the world, or change the situation for other females that have the same heritage than her, that live in the same circumstances and have the same dangers of repercussions, that have to live under the same way that she does, living in danger. But for them, that's their success. According to a study published in the Journal of Happiness Studies, people who engage in pro-social behaviors such as volunteering or helping others, they report higher levels of life satisfaction and happiness. And that suggests that success can be found not only in personal accomplishments, but also in contributing to the well-being of others and making a positive impact in the world. And for some people, that is much more important than wealth and achieving prosperity in life. It is a reminder that success is not just about personal gain, but also about creating a better society. And for many people, that is the key driver in their life. So as we explore success through different lenses, we must also consider the impact of ethnicity and cultural backgrounds. Definitions of success can vary greatly across cultures. For some, it may be deeply rooted in family expectations, community values, or the pursuit of higher education. Understanding these diverse perspectives can broaden our own understanding and appreciation of success. If we look at a Chinese culture, academic achievement is highly valued, and success is often measured by educational attainment. The intense focus on education stems from the belief that it leads to better career opportunities and social mobility. On the other hand, some indigenous cultures prioritize connection to the land and community, finding success in maintaining their cultural heritage and preserving their environment. And they don't care about money. They don't care about cars, about house, and about other possessions. They don't. It's the complete, and we can always argue, do they not value these things because they lived somewhere else? They have never seen these things? Do they not know enough about wealth and assets? And then we can argue, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is it maybe to our own demise that we know all the luxury items, that we know houses, that we know big cars, that we know what we can do with money? Would we have been better off growing up in an indigenous culture by not knowing what can be amassed in terms of wealth and prosperity? That remains to be argued. But the point here is, and the matter of the fact is, that we understand and remain open-minded about what does success mean, so that we don't get into a place where we try to judge or where we maybe judge others just because of their possessions and because of their assets, and therefore define who they are as people and whether they are worth being respected or tolerated in our own circles, or whether we want to hang out with them, create relationships with them. That should never be influenced by how we look at success, because success has so many different faces. And when we are not open and we don't understand that success is that huge variety of things, words, definitions, then we might get into a place where we become judgmental and we're not open-minded enough to let people into our life that might define success differently. And that's where all the fights and the arguing comes from. That's where all the inequality comes from. We have to keep an open mind and understand that success is defined in many, many different ways. According to a study conducted by the National Bureau of Economic Research, immigrants, particularly from Asian countries, often display high levels of entrepreneurial success compared to native-born individuals. This can be attributed to cultural values of hard work, perseverance, and strong family support systems. These statistics demonstrate how cultural backgrounds can shape definitions and pathways to success. Because if someone comes from China with those values and now goes into a fast-paced environment, let's say New York or any other city where work is so important and where everything is just about the next dollar, and about being successful and accomplished in terms of professional attainment, there you see that person will fit into that world much better, and they will most probably be more successful. Whereas if we would take someone from an indigenous background that comes there and is looking more for cultural bonds and more for community, might be completely lost in a city like that, because that's not existent. It's not as existent as it is in other areas of the world. And if you've been to New York, you will see that everything is like fast paced. And yes, there is obviously also networks. There's friends, there's small circles that interact with each other, but it all happens on a completely different level. It happens looking at different values, looking at different expected outcomes on what the social interaction is about. It might purely be about the next deal or about the next business opportunity to strike. So there is so many huge differences, and that differs wherever you go in the world, whatever culture you are part of, in whatever part of the world you are. All these definitions can change so radically, and we have to understand that. So let us spice things a bit up with some inspiring statistics. So, did you know that 90% of successful entrepreneurs have failed at least once in their careers before achieving their breakthrough? Failure is often a stepping stone on the path of success, and it teaches us valuable lessons, fuels resilience, and strengthens our determination. So, you shouldn't be afraid. You should embrace failure and use it as a catalyst of growth, because most of the people that are super successful, they have failed, and they have failed, and they have failed again. But they used it as an opportunity. They had a growth mindset towards those failures and knew that I just have to try one more time. I have to give it one more shot. I just do this one more time and one more time and one more time, and eventually something sticks. If you think about Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." And by his relentless pursuit of success through countless failures, it exemplifies the resilience and determination required to achieve greatness. Failure is not an endpoint, but rather a stepping stone on the path to success. So once we embrace failure, we have a strong companion and we have a strong tool that can lead to success. Another study conducted by the Harvard Business School, individuals who set specific challenging goals are 10 times more likely to achieve success compared to those who don't. Goal setting provides a clear direction, motivates actions, and enhances focus and productivity. By setting smart goals, we are much more likely and we increase our chances of reaching our desired outcomes. And that ties back to the last 2 episodes that I've posted about goal achievement and goal attainment, and how powerful it can be to have goals and be really, really focused on goals and achieving those goals and the process of doing so. Because that is, at the end of the day, the driving force that will lead to success in whatever area you define your success. Because whatever you do, whether you're an activist or philanthropist or you are a broker, financial stock market broker, whatever you want to do. This will create success. Taking action, understanding goals and how to achieve goals, that will definitely lead to success. Because if happiness is your measure of success, you have to put goals into place that will create more happiness, that will lead you closer to happiness and will make you understand when you are moving away from happiness. So those things are really, really crucial in our way to success. Look at the example of Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Throughout her career, she has set specific goals, such as winning Grand Slam titles, achieving the top ranking. Her dedication to these goals, along with her relentless work ethic, has propelled her to the incredible success on and off court. Setting clear and challenging goals is a driving force behind our own journey to success. So now that we have explored success through various lenses, let us bring it all together. Success is an evolving journey, unique to everyone. It can be found in the small victories, in moments of personal growth, and in the pursuit of one's passions. Success is about living authentically, aligning our actions with our values and making a positive impact on the world around us. No matter what you define, no matter what you say, no matter what you put down on paper, if you follow these principles and you see it as an evolving journey, unique to yourself, unique to everyone else, it opens your mind, it makes you more open to success. The small victories, the bigger victories, the growth, the pursuit of your passion, like with me, photography, my side wheel, the coaching of people, helping people to be better prepared for life, to understand things in life better that I've experienced and where I found own tools and measures to overcome adversity in maybe a more successful way that other people have done, to share that knowledge. All these things, that's what we can use as measures for success because they impact the world around us. And I would always say that leaving a lasting impression on the people around us, having an impactful life and changing things and finding purpose and belonging, those are certainly some of the biggest things in terms of success. There is a journal of personality and social psychology, and one of the studies found that individuals who engage in regular self-reflection and self-assessment have a greater likelihood of achieving their goals and experiencing personal success. By taking the time to evaluate our progress and identify areas of improvement and make necessary adjustments, we can continually move closer to our vision of success. So I would like to leave you with these thoughts of understanding what does success mean to you. Have you ever sat down and really identified what the word success means for you? How do you define it? When you switch off all the clutter, the noise, when you take away social media, when you take away what your teachers have told you, what your parents have told you, where you are right now in life, what do you think is success? Write it down, write it into a journal, define it, and then really spend time and investigate. Why those things? Why these things that you are writing down? Investigate the why and why these things really matter to you. And you might have a journey of discovery where you find that maybe one or two of those points fall along the wayside and are not so important to you because they actually are impacted by other people. They're impacted by your upbringing or by the circle that you move around in. So take some time and really define what is success. Why do I define success like that? And is that really what I think success is? Because then you can also investigate what is it that you need to do in life? Where do you want to go? What is your direction? And why are you stepping onto that path into that direction? And is that really what you want? There's nothing more important than self-reflection and understanding that many things that we want in life, we don't really want them because they are coming from us. They are not the ones that we really want deep inside of us, but they are more formed and shaped by our upbringing, by the people around us, by social media, by the news and what the news and media portrays to be success or desirable things to have in life. And once we get there, we also have to open up our mind to understand that if we say we going to be happy when we get what we want, that is a foolproof system and foolproof method to be unsuccessful in life. You shouldn't be happy if you get what you want, because that is not important. How many times in life, with all the uncertainty, the adversity that is happening in the world and the constant change, how many times do you think you're really going to get what you want? If you are living life with constantly thinking that you are going to be happy or you're going to be successful when you get what you want, that will never lead you anywhere. You have to be open. You have to be open-minded about what is happening in your life. What is success? What do I want? Where do I want to go? And these things can change, and they are transformative, and we have to be open and embrace that sometimes things do need to change, and sometimes we need to change the way we look at things and the way that we define certain aspects in our life that we think are important to be successful. And then by changing them, or at least investigating why, we will start to understand that sometimes we do not, or we cannot have what we want. And we don't necessarily need to have what we want to be happy. Like Michael Singer says in a very, very important episode that I love so much, that if we only think we can be happy if we get what we want, then we will find a lot of disappointment in life. Because how many times in life do we get what we really want? No, we have to be more open. We have to be open to change. We have to be open to variety. We have to be open to challenging our thoughts and belief systems in terms of success, challenging our belief systems in terms of the world around us and the indicators. And like Michael Singer says, in us is a river of joy and happiness, and we can tap into that river of joy and happiness. It's always there, but we block it. We block it because we think we can only be happy when we get what we want. But if you think about it, that moment when you have that pinnacle, like when you get married, for instance, that's a thing that happens maybe once, if you're unlucky twice, and for some really unlucky people, even 3 times in life. But eventually, if you think about it, that river of joy, or when you get that promotion that you longed for so long, that river of joy that is flowing inside of you, that river of happiness, it's always there. But we block it. We block it because all the stuff that we store inside of us. But if you think about it for 1 second, what Michael says there is so important and so powerful. That river of joy is always there. We just have to find it, we have to jump into it, and we have to drown in it. So it tells us how that is always there, but how all the impacts and all the things that influence us and that are around us that are happening consistently block us from tapping into that river of joy and happiness. And once we establish better ways to be more in touch with ourselves and to know where that river of joy is and how can we get there, how can we jump into that thing, we will find ways to blend out more noise, more clutter, and to eliminate more things that consistently distract us and pull us away from happiness, pull us away from the things that we define as success. But it is so important to understand, just because you want something doesn't mean that that is the only way to be happy if you get it. Forget about that concept. Happiness and success is something that you can have all the time. Even if it's just a small success, life can be as challenging as it wants. If you say, getting out of bed tomorrow and just having an open mind about this coming day, that will be my measure of success for tomorrow. And there you already found a tool to overcome maybe something that would otherwise be depressing to you. Just set that next clear goal towards the success that you define. And it doesn't have to be the success that you need in 5 years or that you picture to have in 10 years. It can be just the success that you are picturing for tomorrow. And that small step and that small taking of action will then drag you one step closer to the bigger picture of success. So that's it. That is what I wanted to discuss with you today. So as we wrap up this episode of the Success Blueprint, I encourage you to reflect on your own definition of success. What is it that drives you? What brings you fulfillment? Remember, success is not a destination. It's a lifelong pursuit of growth and personal satisfaction. So thank you for joining me. If you want to know more about happiness, about success, and how to get there in a more efficient way, contact me, drop me a message, sign up for one of my coaching programs. There is definitely something there for you. I can guarantee you, I can change your life because I have done things where I know they have been wrong. They have taken me on detours. I have found effective ways in career, in building businesses, in finding my passion and then making my passion a career or adding it as a part to my salary. I have found ways like that and I can share them with you. And I would really like to take you on these enlightening journeys through the multifaceted nature of success. I want you to stay tuned for more episodes where we're going to continue to explore the blueprint to success in many different forms. Today, it was really important to me to talk to you about generally the definition of success, because it is the success blueprint and we want to know that. And maybe I've given you some thoughts and maybe some things to think about and to reconsider to define your feeling or understanding of success, because that is the starting point. How can we apply the blueprint of success if from the get-go we don't even understand and know how to define success? And most importantly, define success on our own scale, from our own understanding and from our own real important perspective. So until the next time, I want you to keep dreaming big, take action, and rewrite your own success story. Guys, have a fantastic week, and I hear you next week, Friday. This was the Success Blueprint. Daniel Craig Johnson, your host, and we are done. Cheers.